All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and there's nothing better to start the day out with than a nice fortified wine like a port. Make your cheeks nice and rosy red first thing in the morning. And Ramos Pinto, one of the smaller houses, these guys make some outstanding ports. They've got 4 different quintas. They grow all their own fruit, and they've got about 1 million bottles total production, 800,000 bottles of unfortified wine, but we focused on their fortified wines and mostly entry-level stuff today. You know, the ruby ports, these are the ones that are meant to be drank every day. Usually it's a 3 to 5 year blend, and some of these are field blends that have up to 85 different varietals in the blend. And a lot of times they don't put the name of the grapes, Tinto Roriz, Tinto Franca, Tinto Sao, some of the more popular ones. And, you know, these rubies are a nice entry into port. And, you know, you can get late bottle vintage for a few dollars more. A lot of times we don't even carry the ruby level ports. And this one's got a nice dark cherry liqueur-like fruit, some sweet tobacco, plump ripe cherry and plum fruit with a sweet middle, finishing with a nice zesty spice. And, you know, simple but very pleasant. $21, a nice little example of ruby port, the Ramos Pinto Ruby. All right, the tawnies were up next. We got to show these in an odd order because they weren't going to show me the entry-level tawny. And, you know, the entry-level tawny to me, didn't really taste that tawny-like. You know, this is aged in smaller casks like tawny is to give it more skin contact, but just didn't have that tawny color to it. Didn't have a lot of the nutty characters that you get in 10-year tawny, which for me, that is where tawny ports start at the 10-year color. They start to get a bit of that tawny port color. This 10-year tawny is from a single quinta that they own in the Douro, and it's a bit hotter up there. That's why they chose this for the 10-year, because you get a little more power of fruit here. Lovely dates and figs and that brown spices, nutty aromas, that sweet fruit still there on the palate, that plum and prune with currants, brown spice, and tobacco, little hazelnut cashew in there. Nice balance, a bit of heat at the end, but a lot of fruit in the mid palate for $46.50. I'm a little steep for a 10-year tawny. I think we have Taylor on the shelf, the 20 for like that price. Anyways, this is a smaller house, and the 20-year tawny, really exceptional. And this is also from one of their single vineyards, their Quinta do Bom Retro, and a little more serious, a little more structured wines coming out of this. Some really nice aromas of nuts, dried fruits, toffee, caramel. A little bit more complex. You start to know that notice the toffee and caramel in the 20, 30, and 40-year tawnies. And very smooth and creamy on the tongue with an array of that nutty and caramel toffee-like notes, figs, dates. Really nice complexity here through the finish. An excellent example of a 20-year tawny at $81. And then the Pinto Collector's Port. And this is... Now, 2011 is the last vintage year that they declared. They usually declare it 2 years after the vintage, but usually they'll know right after the vintage whether it is going to be a vintage port. 2012 was also very good here, but you will probably see just mostly single quintas because the demand for vintage port is not quite as great as it is for, you know, the rubies and the tawnies. And they can only sell a certain amount of vintage port every year. Anyways, 2013 also very good in Douro Superior, but that's not where the ports are from. Anyways, this Reserva Collector, really nice entry level with a step up here, and it's got a big bouquet of sweet tobacco spice, a little balsamic syrup, cherry liqueur-like fruit, sweet and tangy fruit on the tongue with a solid core, that cherry fruit there, and a nice spice and a zesty finish, nicely balanced. A very good example of, like I said, a step up from a ruby port at $27. That's what we had to drink with our friends from Ramos Pinto. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.